Probably not. You're probably wondering why our faces are painted. We should start. Should we start painting our faces for this?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'll do it. Why not?
I always said I wanted to do like the scrubs and the.
You keep threatening to do it, but then you never do it.
I know.
Just do it.
I just
do it.
gotta do it.
Raven's in the house. What's up, Thomas? We're about. Have any of you guys seen Crawl yet? It was released this year. It's from 2019. It is. How do you feel about alligator horror? Are these alligators?
Yes, we are alligators.
What's the difference between an alligator and a crocodile? Anybody tell me that?
Yes, alligator is.
Number of teeth?
Yeah, and it's bigger, wider. Crocodiles are thinner and they have a longer snout.
A longer snout.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Natalie's in the house. Have you seen a movie called Burning Bright? Raven. I feel like you haven't seen Burning Bright.
I am not.
I feel like they're the exact same movie. Sans alligators add a Bengal tiger, a batshit crazy Bengal tiger, and you've got Burning Bright. We're gonna get into the whole goddamn movie here. It's probably production value wise, it's probably not as good as Crawl because the Bengal tiger is almost entirely CGI.
Oh.
But it's still very intense, and it's got the same intensity that Crawl does. All right, let's go ahead and get ourselves going on a podcast here. Thank you, guys, for joining us. I'm sorry I'm not Scarlet or Oddmother. I know that's who you thought I was for a second. Oh, here comes Scarlet. Oh, no, it's just this clown in his suit again, talking about horror movies. That's fine. I get mistaken for those two all the time. I don't know if that was flattering to me or insulting to them. Probably both. This isn't going to work right here, dude. I need to spin this way. You would think I would have this shit worked out by now, but I don't because I don't know. I got it. It's under control. See, this is the excuse I use to get up on Monica during the show. Before you know it, she's going to be out there in the hallway trying to get away from me. And I am going to be here talking to myself and you people. All right, here we go. Is your microphone on? Can we just verify that before we...
Now it is.
Okay, there we go. A little bit of an issue with that the last couple of weeks. Let me do this. And pound this. Mike's on. Oh. A little phlegmy all of a sudden. There we go. That's right, inmates. We're talking about Crawl from 2019. This movie came out this year. A lot of people saying this is the best movie of 2019 so far. I would put it in my top 5. It's pretty good. It's pretty intense. It stars Barry Pepper, of all people. Do you remember Barry Pepper? Did you watch?
I can't even say it.
It bears bringing up, I think. Wouldn't you say? He was in a little movie called Battlefield Earth.
The only thing we remember him.
I'm sorry, but when a movie is that bad, I mean, it pretty much killed his career to where he's now doing alligator movies, my dear. He was A-list.
It was John Travolta.
John Travolta
killed his career.
Let me explain to you what it is but this movie is based on a book by L. Ron Hubbard, who founded Scientology. Now, I've never read the book, but the movie is horrific. And a lot of people are calling it the worst box office flop in history. To be honest with you, I've never made it all the way through it. I've tried on various occasions to watch. Have you seen it?
I think I've seen it.
Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes.
3 times you watched it.
Yes, the parole officer was.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my
Anything with
God.
John Travolta.
Really? Oh my God. Okay. All right. We didn't know that about Monica's husband / parole officer, but now we do. And that just kind of made things a little bit weird. Really? There are much better John Travolta movies to watch. You got your Pulp Fiction. You got your, Saturday Night Fever, the disco movie. That's something, right?
Oh, what was that one? The cowboy one.
There was a cowboy one?
Yeah, he's in a cowboy one.
Oh, Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yes, that one. Face Off.
Face Off, much better movie. Odd Mother's ex read the book and liked it, but hated the movie. It's a hard. I can't get through it, man. All right, enough about Barry Pepper. It's bad. It basically killed his career. That's how bad the goddamn movie was. Even Scientologists didn't like the fucking movie. And it's written by their Messiah or whatever they want to call him. I don't know. Fuck off. It's also starring a young lady by the name of Kaya Scodelario. I don't know how I feel about Kaya Scodelario. She is very intense looking in this movie. And I'm not going to say that she's unattractive, but I'm not going to say that she's attractive either, because what?
It reminds me of another actress. I can't think of her name right now. I'll think about it.
She's got like a slightly more manly Kristen Stewart thing going on. And later on, when as the movie goes on and she gets more and more competitive, then she gets even more manly looking. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Not manly, just a little rough looking.
And I like to think of it as intense. Say that 3 times fast. Okay. I don't know, man. It's I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this girl. Looks like she has a nice body. Not that matters, but for the purposes of this movie, she is a swimmer, and that's where the movie's going to pick up. We're in Gainesville, Florida, present day, at a swim meet. She is on the college ladies swim team, and some kind of a relay thing. I don't know anything about competitive swimming. Some kind of a relay thing going on, and she loses, and she's very bent about that, and you can tell she's taking it very hard. While that's going on, there is a Category 5 hurricane approaching Gainesville, as is wont to do. Now, this is reason number 142 not to move to Florida. For me, anyway. I mean, the Florida man tweets, if those don't do enough for you, think about the seasonal hurricane season. Mm-hmm. The time of year where the roof of your house could very well blow off and crush an infant somewhere down the street. That's a real thing, okay? That doesn't happen here. That just happens in Florida, up and down the Gulf Coast a little bit. Here in the deserts, it just gets really hot, and she goes and sunbathes until she looks like yesterday's bacon, and then that's about the end of that. Sinkholes, exactly right, Raven. Raven must be in Florida. She knows what's going on. What some of the dangers of living in Florida. Not to mention the bath salt zombies, which are also prevalent there and about. Yeah. Think about that. You get your fucking face eaten, dude. See, I'm going to let you guys recap this movie as I couldn't stay focused on it last night. I mean, okay. Well, no, I mean, there's a lot. Hang out with us on this, Odd Mother, because there is a lot to glaze over. And it's not to say that that's necessarily a bad thing, but you get a lot of cat and mouse action, which is very intense, but at the same time, in the purposes of the story, it's like she goes around another corner, and then she's got to swim under some shit for the 38th time in an hour and a half. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's actually not bad if you can hang with it. So that's where we pick up, is with the swim meet somewhere, University of Florida, Gainesville area, during the Category 5 hurricane. Now, as soon as our lead, a young lady by the name of Haley, gets done, and she's very competitive and very pissed off about losing her swim meet, gets out. She gets FaceTimed by her sister in Boston, and the sister would like her to go check on her dad, recently divorced, because he's not answering his phone during said Category 5 hurricane, which is now causing the town of Gainesville to be evacuated, as it should. So, very well, she's kind of bent about that. She'd like to get the fuck out of there, and apparently has been oblivious to the entire hurricane situation the whole time. Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh, all right, fine. I'll go check on Dad, because, God damn it, you're in Boston, and you just moved on with your life, and they're getting a divorce. Apparently, her parents are getting a divorce fairly recently, because she's worried about her dad now. But apparently, they had a falling out. We'll get more into that in a minute. So she's like, all right, I'll go check on my dad. Now we get, 10 minutes of her driving up and down the Florida freeway during the preseason of the Category 5 hurricane, which is to say It's nasty out. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, a lot of things getting blown around and shit. But it's not quite to the point where you might get a stop sign stuck in your spleen just yet. That is on the way. Stevesy's in the house. What's up, Stevesy? Talking about crawl, dude. But she's driving. Everything's cool. She's listening to the radio. Okay, where's Dad? First, she goes to Dad's new condo because he had to leave the family homestead after the divorce. And the condo looks like it's pretty depressing. He's got a dog, but other than that, it's pretty depressing. A lot of empty alcohol containers. That's not a good sign. A lot of trash strewn about, fast food wrappers, pizza boxes, things of that nature. If there was like some porno laying about, then we could go to serial killer town here, is what we could do. We're not, though. We're not. This is a whole other thing going on. So she's like, oh, God, FaceTimes her sister. Hey, Dad's not here. This place is really gross. Ugh. So she's like, okay, well, take the dog with you, because this is the family dog that apparently he got custody of. Take the dog with you. Go and see if you can track down Dad. Mm-hmm. So her next stop, and now the wind and the rain is getting more intense, is to go to the old family house. She gets stopped by what I'm going to call a highway patrol type of a dude.
Yeah.
Disaster. I don't know. It's some kind of a hurricane.
I thought it was just.
There's just a cop. Yeah. He might just be a cop.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They were just directing traffic out of there.
But he had one of those swamp boat things that they have.
Well, the police have.
Is that
boats.
what they have in Florida?
Yeah,
well, I know. I guess just in Florida, that's just standard issue. You're a cop. Here's your big swamp boat with a big fan thing on the back. What do you call those things? There's a name for them.
Yeah, I know. A friend of mine fell back and lost his finger.
Oh,
in
shit.
The fan.
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Please tell me that happened in Florida.
I believe
it had to have happened in Florida.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
That is probably the most Florida finger loss accident ever.
I think they have those back in
swamp territories. Yeah, you need one of those to get around. Because, I mean, you can't drive a car, and apparently, every time I see one on TV, it looks like they're doing about 95 miles an hour on those.
I know.
Yeah, just ripping through.
Fucking alligator can put it right over.
Fuck yeah, or even a good tree branch probably.
Yeah,
knock that fucking thing. No, they should be wearing helmets or life jackets or something, right? They're always out there with like white T-shirts and Ray-Bans, for Christ's sakes. Anyway, cop stops her. He's like, hey, man. Oh, it's you. He knows her. Mm-hmm. Turns out this is the sister Boston's sister's ex-boyfriend. So he's like, oh, it's you. You want to go check on your dad? I can't let you in, man, because we're getting orders to evacuate, and it could get dangerous. Don't want you getting hurt. Don't want to get an ass chewing for it later. So how about you just turn it around, and I will go check on your dad later. So let's go with that. And she agrees. And then 35 seconds later, she says, oh, no, you don't. Bussa Yui goes through like a weird patch of landscaping and goes tearing down the road, right to her dad's house. Right. So that's dumb. That's a dumb thing to do. I mean, you want to find your dad. I get that. But at the same time, it's a Category 5 hurricane, dude. I've never seen a Category 5 hurricane, but it sounds goddamn scary, Monica.
If my dogs are there, I'm going back for my dogs.
I would go back for my dad if he were still alive. I would go back for my wife, my kids. I'll go back for one of my dogs. Uh-huh. I'm not going to say which one though, because it's not fair to the other one. Other than that, I don't think I'm going back. I don't think I need to go back to a fucking Category 5 hurricane. If somebody says, hey, we're evacuating, I'm already gone. I left 2 days ago because I didn't like the looks of it to begin with. So that's all well and good. It's not that bad weather-wise for a while. Again, with the wind and the rain and, things are getting a little intense. Goes back to the old house. Sure as shit, his truck is parked out there. What the fuck is this guy doing? Category 5 is supposed to be catastrophic, Raven says, or Natalie says. I think Natalie is somewhere in that region. So I'm going to take Natalie's word for it. You know what? What do you need? Like, if it's a Category 1, is that like the end of the world? Or is it ascending? Is it ascending or descending? Well, thank you very much, John. That's nice of you to say that. So
hi, John.
so I'll evacuate at like a category. I'll go category 2. That's when I'm gonna bust out. I'm gone.
I want to stay.
No, what you gonna get? What are you doing? You're gonna get a tree branch through your sternum.
I want to
You don't want to feel. All right, you're a weirdo. She's gonna get some kind of sexual gratification out of the. It's a category 3.5. Can we knock it up to a 7? Woo! She's out there waving her bikini top around like a fucking maniac. It's weird. Whatever. Anyway, she's looking for her dad, not getting any sexual gratification out of the category 5 hurricane. Finds a truck at the old family house. She's like, oh, here he is. I don't know what the hell he's doing here. I'm going to go in there. Missed you on Nevada Day.
Yeah, I didn't get to go to the parade.
Oh, was there a parade?
Yeah.
Oh, in Carson. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a big parade.
Nevada Day is Halloween, and has something to do with anything. I don't know. I just go trick or treating.
I didn't want to take a chance of getting it. Why?
No, Cat 1 is nothing but a badass tropical storm. So I will go ahead and evacuate for. Well,
You would evacuate it.
I would have. I'll hang out for a category 2, but I feel like a category 1 is going to be enough to piss me off because it's going to knock a bunch of shit off my house, and I'm going to have to fix that
Yes.
at another time. That's going to piss me right off. But I'll probably hang out. Anyway, so she goes inside, finds the family dog. Well, actually, she already had the dog. Starts pooping around, can't find her dad. Dog starts barking at the basement stairs. So somebody's going to have to go into the basement, and you're the only one there. So down into the basement you go, sweetie. She's got a flashlight, and it's one of those storm preparedness ones where you don't need batteries. You just wind it up real good, and then it works, which is good. That's a nice thing to have. Evac at 2. See there? I'm one step ahead of you, Odd Mother. I'll evac at like a 1.3. That's when I start packing things up. I don't know if it's like a decimal scale or like a 1 3/4 type of thing, but I'll be ready. I'll be ready to roll the fuck out of there. I'll board up my windows and stuff first, though, if I have time. Anyway, gets in there, can't find Dad. Dog's barking at the basement. Down into the basement she goes. So gets down there. This is a grimy fucking basement. And I have to assume, all apologies to anybody living in Florida, but I have to assume that that's what a Florida basement is going to look like. Dirt floor, a lot of old brickwork, a lot of pipes just kind of strewn about in the ceiling. Florida's old country, and it's primarily built on swampland, so I would assume it would be very moist down there to begin with. And she gets down there, it's all mucky, and she's like, oh, fucking gross. And she's got to crawl through a crawl space and a bunch of shit. And she starts hearing a radio playing, like music. So she follows that, starts seeing bloody handprints on the piping and the walls. She's like, oh, this is most ominous. Finds a loose screwdriver, finds her dad's tool belt just laying on the ground. Now she's like, oh, okay, I suspect foul play at this point. Eventually comes across the unconscious body of her dad, played by Barry Pepper, who, for the purposes of this podcast and the rest of the movie, we are just going to refer to as Dad, because I don't think we ever got an actual name from him.
Yeah.
We did?
I think so.
No, it's just Dad.
Yeah.
Barry Pepper, I think he's holding up rather well. He's got to be pushing at least 50.
Oh, yeah.
In his 50s. He looks good for 50. He's unconscious, though, and he's all pale. And upon examining him, we find he's got a giant gash coming out of his shoulder. And she's like, what the fuck? But she can't wake him up to ask him what's going on. Yeah, it starts pretty fast. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Odd Mother. So if they're talking about a tropical storm, I'm going to start packing. So I'm not waiting for category 2 or evacuation orders. I'm ready to go. I've got the dogs loaded up and the kids, and the car is warming up in the driveway. I'm going to play Mortal Kombat in my living room until the actual order comes through. But once it does, gone. Get it. Finds her dad unconscious in the basement. So he's a big guy. She's athletic, but not all that, she's not going to like do like a shoulder carry on him. So she starts dragging him out back towards the stairs of the basement. Gets to where the stairs are. The dog is upstairs, like barking at him. Through the stairs comes a giant alligator. Boom! and I mean giant. This thing's like the size of like a canoe or a pontoon boat or something. I can't think of a
you
bigger.
didn't know it was coming.
No, you didn't. This would have been a good movie to have in 3D, I think,
Oh,
because I probably would have pissed myself at this little scene right here. She's like, "Oh shit!" Um, alligator's like snapping at her. She's got to frantically like drag her dad back through the basement. Gets him back. Again, the layout of this basement is a complete mystery to me, other than to say there's a lot of pipes, a lot of weird brickwork that just kind of stands out for no apparent reason. And there is one part in this basement that is more or less a cage of piping where they're safe. So she drags him under those pipes, and they're kind of safe in this piping cage area for a minute. Everything's cool. Dad starts coming to, and he's like, "Oh shit! Oh, what are you doing here? We got to get out of here. There's a goddamn gator down here, man. We got to like get out of here." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. Fucking thing almost bit your crotch off while I was dragging you across the floor, you crazy shit." And he's like, "Oh well, what are you even doing here, dude?" He's like he's not a hippie kind of a guy, but every time I saw him, I just thought hippie because he's got like the big goatee, right? He looked like. I mean, Barry Pepper's got like a hippie look to him to begin with, but when you add the facial hair, you're like, unemployment line for you, sir.
He reminds me of our top friend.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What, just like the face?
The face, the eyes.
No.
Except Mitch doesn't have a goatee.
He's got like the full beard, right? Last time I saw him.
I haven't seen him for a while, so I don't know what he's got.
But anyway, he doesn't look like Barry Pepper, I don't think. So that's kind of wacky. Gets him in the cage. Okay, now we've got like a kind of a siege standoff kind of thing because the gators out there, they're freaked out. They can't leave this little pipe cage thing. And while that's going on, the rain is starting to pour into the basement and it's gradually filling up with water. Now, during the initial smashing of the staircase slash pursuit of these two, Haley dropped her cell phone, which is a motherfucker. She had an iPhone and she can see it just outside the cage, but she can't get to it because she knows the goddamn gator is just around the corner. In the meantime, she's receiving FaceTime calls and phone calls and all kinds of shit that she just can't answer. So she gets ballsy and she's like, "It's right there. I can get it." Yeah. And while that's happening, we keep getting these flashbacks to her at different swim meets and her being a crazy competitive kid and her dad being an impromptu coach and making her even more competitive by telling her she's an apex predator. And basically, is that healthy? Is that healthy for a kid to be that competitive?
Yes.
I don't know, man. I think you're building an asshole is what you're building by doing that.
How do you build great boxers?
Well, if you want your kid to be a great boxer, I understand that. But if he grows up to a job in middle management and he walks in every day and he's like, "Apex predator all day, mop those fucking floors," you are an asshole. That's all. You're not a great boxer. You're not a great human being. You're just a fucking asshole, and it's your dad's fault for turning you into one. I'm just saying. I'm back my tablet down. Okay, well, thank you for joining us again, Godmother. We're talking about assholes. I'm sorry. Anyway, so that's kind of weird. But she eventually crawls out there, grabs the cell phone, and in a very horror movie-esque move, instead of running back in to the cage, she stops, looks at the phone, looks around, starts walking, gets curious about where the alligator is. So instead of immediately dialing 911 like she should do, or better yet, getting back into the cage with the phone, she starts kind of moseying about. "Oh, I wonder where that alligator is. Oh, hey, Tom Hardy's in the house. Hey, yo, Tom Hardy." Talking about Crawl, dude. So I hate this when this happens because it's kind of a horror movie trope where, "Oh, there it is. We just got to get out there and get it." Somebody goes out there and gets it and then stops and waits for the big bad wolf to show up. And that's exactly what happened here. So now she's creeping around the basement with her cell phone that she could use at any moment, or she could just get the fuck back into the cage, but she doesn't. She's just pooping around. And eventually the alligator spots her, chases her in the pursuit. She drops the phone again, and this time the alligator stomps on it and crushes it. Well, I mean, it would be a pretty short movie if that little thing had worked. All right, so that sucks. From there, we get some more family drama. Oh, what? You don't come to my swim meets anymore, Dad. I want you, but I thought you were mad at me, and your mom deserves to be happy, and that's why we split. Because I was always, oh, it's my fault. No, it's not your fault. Family drama, which is what we get about this time in the movie. It's fine. It happens. Things are getting a little hairy though, because now the old basement is starting to fill up with water. Hey, Troy's in the house. What's up, Troy?
Hi, Troy.
Paranormal ambassador of the Padded Room podcast. So they're like, okay, we got to fucking do something here, man, because it's getting pretty sketchy out there. So the plan is, at this point, she's a kick-ass swimmer. There's no getting around that. And apparently, somewhere else in this basement is a pipe access hatch or something like that, where you can see the pipes going through the roof. And if you can get to it, you can lift up that hatch, and that will at least get you back onto the ground floor of the house and away from the alligators. Excelente. So she's like, I'm going to go see if I can find it. So she gets out there, gets swimming around, get another, again, the alligator attacks her, and she's like, oh shit, this time it bites her, and it gets her pretty good in the leg. She's like, oh fuck, trying to get back to the cage, and this is where we find out there's not one, but two of these giant monstrosity alligators in the fucking basement. She gets a pretty good gash in the leg, manages to fight them off with a bunch of random animal cages that are just haphazardly strewn about the basement. Weird, but whatever. Gets back to the cage safely, minus a little flesh from the leg area. Now, about this basement, I don't know what's going on here, but there's random brickwork missing from the walls in what I guess is supposed to be decorative patterns. Now, I have been to Florida. I've spent some time there, and I know that it's a very swampy, muggy place, and I actually enjoyed myself there. But I will tell you this: it's a environment that is rich with insect life. And if you're just going to leave open holes in your house like that, it's not going to take very long before said insects find a way in and make your life a living hell.
And
varmints also.
That's probably why all the cages are there.
What exactly are varmints?
I don't know.
Yosemite Sam is always complaining about them. And
Raccoons.
some kind of rodentia, perhaps.
What else can get in
I don't know. Is a varmint like a general classification? All kinds of nasty shit can get into your house because you have giant holes. Rock pythons, you don't want that. Silverfish, I believe herpes also can get into your house. Think about that, Florida people. They even have basements in Florida. I believe they do have basements in Florida, Natalie, but herpes sometimes get into those basements if you don't seal them up correctly. You can't just have open holes in your brickwork like that, especially, dude. You live in hurricane country. Moisture is going to be a problem. Think about black mold. Okay, that will give you cancer. I think. I don't know. Regardless, so that's what's going on. So now because they have access to some of these decorative holes in the wall, they can see across the street where there's a gas station, and there's some kids roll up on a little pontoon boat. So they get their flashlights out and they're trying to flag down the kids. Hey, goes ahead over here. Kids are trying to rob the gas station, and they do so by carrying the ATM out of the gas station. Guy and a girl carry the ATM out. Now, I don't know if any of you have actually tried to lift an ATM. No. Teenage guy and a girl, not happening. No. It's during a hurricane, no fucking way.
Were we supposed to believe that part because the water would lift it up off the ground?
I would buy that if they had some kind of a flotation situation that they did. But no, he just had it on his shoulder. And she's just carrying it hey, here we go. We'll put it on the boat. We got all kinds of cash. So we got 3 kids over at the gas station. 2 of them are lifting the ATM. The other one is inside cooking himself a hot dog, which I respect because even looters have to eat. And who doesn't love a gas station hot dog? Regardless, pretty soon things get pretty hairy over there. They're trying to flag him down with the flashlight. One of the kid that was lifting the ATM is like, hey, what's that over there? Goes walking towards the house. And they're like, hey, what's in the background? You can see his girlfriend getting eaten by one of the goddamn
Yeah.
crocodiles in most horrific fashion, I might add. And that's pretty cool. I like that. He's like, what? Turns around, sees his girlfriend getting the fucking leg ripped off her, and he's like, fucking fuck. So he's like, I got to get the fuck out of here. He goes running back. His compadre is inside, raiding the Twinkie aisle. He's like, hey, you got to get out of here. And then this dude just gets sucked under the water, and that's all we see of him. Mr. Hot Dog inside the gas station is like, well, I got my Funyuns, I got my hot dogs. I'm going to go get myself a Mountain Dew. And then he's like, hey, where'd my buddy go? And then we see the pool of red water just outside the gas station. He's like, oh, that's kind of weird. And then here comes gas station crocodile to rip this guy into some serious pieces. Was the girl dressed like Gordon's fisherman? You're exactly right, Odd Mother. She was dressed like a Gordon's fisherman. But if you notice, once the hood came off, she was a ginger but had cornrows, which is an interesting choice. Florida. It's got to be a Florida thing. I don't know. Regardless, so these three assholes are now out of the equation, and they were of no help to anybody at all. So other than looting and trying to walk off with a fucking ATM, fuck these guys. Okay, that sucks. Now we're still in the basement with the alligators. Water's getting higher and higher. It's getting pretty intense in there. So we decide what we're going to do is try to get some kind of a diversion going. We're going to try to see if we can find a way to that escape hatch and get it open. Or it's not an escape hatch. It's like a weird piping access hatch or something like that.
Yeah.
Do you have a basement in your house? A crawl space? How many access areas to the crawl space do you have?
Only one.
I have one also, and there's only one. Granted, I'm not on, and we are in no danger of flooding here at all. We live in a desert, for Christ's sake.
And he lives on one of the biggest mountains.
I live on top of a goddamn
where
mountain.
rich people live.
Yes, pretty much. This isn't my house. I actually murdered the owners of this house, and they are now in that crawl space. And it's been a couple years. Nobody said anything yet, so I'm just going to keep living here until somebody figures it out.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about flood ever.
I'm not worried about it. But regardless, apparently this is another thing in Florida, multiple accesses to the crawl space. So she manages to get to the crawl space, or the access hatch, and she's like, well, we're out of here now, dude. I'm just going to open this fucking thing. Starts trying to get it open. Somebody put a dresser on top of it, and the dresser is catching on the lip of the wainscoting of the wall. So this motherfucker you got like a quarter of an inch open, and then that's it. That's all you got. Which is cool because now the dog can come over and lick her fingers. And that's like a ray of hope, I guess, in a weird way. So she's like, fuck. And all this banging around is now attracting the alligators. So she's got to haul ass back to the pipe cage situation. And that's what she does. Very intense with the swimming. I like to do something in these underwater movies that some of you may like to attempt. Whenever there's like a swimming scene, I see if I can hold my breath that long. I never can. And I get it. She's a championship swimmer, but I like to try anyway. It's a little factoid for you there. I could probably do, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes, something like that. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm not swimming like this young lady, obviously. And anytime I have to swim under something to come up on the other side, probably not. Probably going to go down there and get lost.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
I'll freak right out, have a panic attack, and just drown. Before I even get underneath, I'll be like halfway down. He didn't even try. Look at him. He's dead. He made it halfway down. He's already dead. God, fuck that guy. All right, anyway. So she gets back to the cage. Everything's cool. And they're like, oh, well, now what? Fucking fuck. Good news, though. A sister's ex-boyfriend, the cop, gets curious because he saw her blow the barricade. So he's cruising by in his cool fan boat thing with a partner. And he's like, hey, there's her red Jeep Liberty. I better stop here, make sure, see what's going on. So he goes inside and starts poking around. Hey, anybody in here? And they're downstairs. They're they can see him through the weird holes in the basement. They're like, hey, banging on stuff and trying to get his attention. Eventually, the dog leads him to the basement stairs where he's like, oh, hey, there's people in here. What are you guys doing down there? They get his attention. Like, dude, there's 2 gators down here, and we are proper fucked if you don't do something about this. So He's like, okay, gets on the radio to his partner outside in the pontoon boat, he gets the engine of the boat stuck in some weeds. So he gets out of the boat and he's like, I'm going to clear these weeds so we can roll. And then he looks across the way and sees a half submerged playground with one of the swings, one of the swings is like a fishing line and it's got something. So it's like trying to jerk through the water.
Mm-hmm.
So being the cop, he gets curious and he's like, who is this? There's a swing over there and it's swinging without a permit. I'm going to write it a ticket or something. They'd be dead. They'd be dead already. And that shit can wait until after the hurricane. Regardless, he's like, I'm going to go check it out. The chain on the swing snaps, and just as it does, we see an alligator tail like flip out of the water real quick. So he's like, that is a fucking alligator. I'm going to get back in a boat right now. So he starts hauling ass towards the boat, but he's like waist deep in water, so he ain't moving too fast. I think this is the kill of the movie right here, because he gets taken down, and we cut to an aerial shot of about 4 alligators just tearing this poor dude to shreds. That was bad. Real quick show of hands, or padded room poll, if you will. Would you rather be killed by an alligator or a shark? I say shark. How say you? I'm taking a shark. Reason why: shark will literally eat you alive, and that sucks completely. And but the good news, though, is that there's a pretty good chance it's going to nick one of your major arteries, and you're going to bleed out before you actually, get another bite taken out of you. You're going to do that with the alligator. Because what the alligator does, it grabs you, and then it just starts spinning and thrashing until you're dead.
Yeah, but 4 of them, oh my God,
you don't rip you don't want a whole pack of them. You don't want one, really.
No.
Now, here's a fun fact about alligators, and I know this from watching the Steve Irwin show, whatever that was. Alligators, strong as shit. Their jaws are strong as shit, but only on the close part. Just the closing that will snap a bone, but the opening actually very weak. So if an alligator is in your house and you can keep from freaking the fuck out, which I don't think I could, you could really just grab it by the jaw with one hand and hold it closed, and they can't do shit after that. But the hard part is keeping it from like getting free and then biting your fucking dog in half or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, that's just a little factoid for you. So as soon as that happens, the other cop, the ex-boyfriend, is like, hanging out by the basement door. Fucking alligator comes up from the staircase and does like a Samuel L. Jackson, what was the shark movie? Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah.
Pretty much same thing. Just up, grabs him right down, and this guy gets actually even worse, I think. Well, probably not. He dies worse because it looks more painful. Because this dude gets the full alligator treatment with the thrashing and the spinning and the fucking up and down and banging him into walls. And the whole time he's pleading for Haley to come help him. And in and out of the water and blood's flying everywhere. This is gnarly. And this is why I take shark over alligator any day of the week. You know what? Take the leg off. I'll be dead in a minute. Even if you wait till after I'm dead and then you can go ahead and eat me, I don't care. But this fucking thing, it will almost half-ass beat you to death while you're thrashing about in its mouth. And it's not, it'll, once it's got you, it's not letting go, man. It's clamped on, and you and that alligator are now somewhat best friends because that's what well, you're already dead, dude. You've been drowned. He's drowned you, and he's got your leg, but still, fucking fuck, man. Hey, man, he's in the house. That's why I say I would rather be, with a shark, because shark will eat you, but it will take a limb off. You'll bleed out into the water, and it'll be much quicker than thrashing about in a swamp or a river or whatever. That's what it's going to do. It's more or less going to beat you to death. In the water, which is forget the whole fucking thing. What's going on, Cherry Snot? We're talking about Crawl. You like alligator horror movies? Because That's what we're in the mood for.
Mhm.
All right, so that's pretty gnarly. And now the cop's dead, and there goes that chance of escape. So that completely sucks. What Haley tries to help the dude, gets like a hand on him for a second, but of course, in this chaos, it doesn't matter because fucking alligator. And now she knows all of his little alligator friends are coming at her, and they're gonna try to eat her and the rest of whatever's left of the cop, really. So she's like, "Fuck this dude!" Right back to the cage. Never seen it though. It's a pretty good show,
Oh.
Cherry.
Yeah, check it out.
Anyway, she gets back to the cage, and now water at this point is about chest high. So we're running out of time, and Dad keeps pulling out his tape measure and measuring the depth of the water and looking at his watch as if to somehow gauge about how much time they have left. He estimates that they have about an hour before the basement is completely submerged, and alligators withstanding, they're going to drown if they don't get eaten in the meantime. So it's getting pretty intense. Now, here's another weird thing about Florida basements, apparently. There is an overflow drainage pipe. I don't know structurally what this is supposed to do, but it's not really doing it. I would assume it would be for just this occasion,
Yes.
so that if the basement started to flood, it would all just drain through this pipe. But it is not. That's just not happening. I don't know why.
Backfired.
That backfired big time, because that is how the goddamn alligators got into the house to begin with. But we're running out of options, so Haley's like, "I'm a fast swimmer. I'm going to swim over there to the drainage pipe, see if that takes me anywhere." And he's like, "Okay, you do that. I'm going to sit here and bang on pipes and shit and try to distract him." Pretty solid plan. Pretty good idea. So he starts banging on the pipes, trying to get the attention of the alligator. She goes hauling ass towards this drainage pipe. What the fuck is going on with the drainage pipe? Because it looks to me like it's about the size of a manhole cover, and it goes directly into their basement from somewhere else. So what I don't understand here is how they don't have alligators in their house every day, hurricane notwithstanding. It's a big hole in your house that anything can crawl into, right? To include human traffickers, pedophiles,
Well,
anybody looking to steal your laptop computer.
once again, this is probably why he had the cages in the house, in the basement.
Get rid of the fucking drainage pipe. It's clear. It clearly serves no purpose.
Or lockout.
Your basement is filling with water, and that pipe is not doing anything. There's no water going into the pipe. So,
That was a little odd.
okay, whatever. She gets to the pipe. It's like weirdly backlit, like there's like toxic waste coming out of it or something like that. Starts looking around, sees alligator eggs all over the fucking place, which means there was an alligator in their house every day laying fucking eggs. There you have it. Little home maintenance could have taken care of a lot of this. I have a crawl space. I never go down there. Well, except to put the real owners of this house down there. But that's a whole other thing. So she's like, "Oh God," starts going towards the thing. It's like as soon as she gets there, another alligator is coming. So she's like, "I'm gonna fucking wait." But when she gets there, finds the dead body of the cop, gets his gun, and she's like, "I got a gun now, motherfuckers." And no sooner than she grabs the gun, another alligator pops up, bites her in the arm, and forces her to basically unload the entire magazine into that alligator. So you managed to kill one. I don't know how many of these goddamn things are down there now. There's got to be like a baker's dozen at least, right? And they're just coming and going as they please. You know, this is like a McDonald's drive-through to them or something. I don't know. I don't know what they're into. So she's like, "Well, fuck this shit, man." Swims through the drainage tunnel out into what I would assume is some kind of a playground area, which is now completely submerged by water. First thing she sees when she gets out there is just a gaggle of alligators just swimming about, and she's like, "Oh, fuck this." They spot her, she spots them. Another intense little race takes place. She gets to dry land before they do. Now, here's another problem. At this point, water in the basement is nearing chin level, which means Dad, who's still down there, has maybe, I don't know, 4 inches of breathable air before he's completely submerged. She gets out into terra firma, away from the alligators, and she's like, "Woo! It is windy out here. Oh, there's a helicopter. Hey, help me, help me, help me." Nobody helps. And in the meantime, her dad is dangerously close to drowning. In fact, actually does drown. By the time she gets back into the house, he is completely submerged and has actually drowned in the basement. She has to like crowbar her way through the floorboards, get him, pull him up through there and like revive him there on the floor of the old house, which that sucks, but at least he's alive and, not completely drowned, only half drowned. So that sucks. Now they're like, oh, we made it. We made it out of the basement. Okay, very cool. So they round up the dog. They go outside where now for the most part, the entire street is submerged. Now, what they should have seen when they went outside is the police pontoon boat thing. It wasn't there, completely gone. What they see instead is the ATM kids boat across the street at the gas station. Now, at this point, it's rudimentary. You've got a gaggle. I don't know what the plural of alligators are, but you have many of them between you and the gas station.
Yeah.
Get your ass upstairs to the roof and sit down and have a beer. Call it a day. These guys, not so much. We got to get out of here. Those levees are going to break, and when they do, we can't be here. So they decide they're going to start inching their way towards the pontoon boat at the gas station. Bad idea. That's a bad idea. Terrible idea. They get halfway there. Now, I don't know if any of this is true, but as it's explained in the movie, alligators hear you, but only in the water. So with all the noise the rain is creating, they should be able to mask their movement. And as long as they don't splash, they should be fine. They get halfway across the street to the gas station, and the eye of the hurricane passes over them. And for a second, it's like a sunny day, and everything's calm and cool for a minute. And then the eye passes, and the wind and the rain and all that shit starts up again. They start making their way across again, and she goes full apex predator on the alligators and outswims them to the boat, gets in, gets the boat, gets back to Dad. Dad throws the dog in the boat. He climbs in, and then that fucking levee breaks, and it's like a giant tidal wave that knocks them right back into their alligator-infested house and overturns the boat and separates them. If they would have listened to me, this wouldn't have mattered because they would have been upstairs and they would have been like, oh, that looks terrible. And they would have went right back to watching TV and whatever they want to do. So now they're separated in their house. So is their dog. Their dog is just cruising around somewhere. And she makes it to the kitchen and gets up on the counter. He makes it to a stairway and he's like, hey, meet me at the stairs. And she's like, okay. Tries to make it to the stairway. Again, gets attacked by an alligator. This one's a particularly nasty customer. Bites her leg, but only does superficial damage. That's good. Gets to the stairway where Dad has popped a flare. The dog made it to the stairs also. He's like, hey, follow the flare. You can see me. She's like, okay, I'm coming. She gets to the staircase to the hallway where they can see each other, but then one of the alligators comes barreling at her. And because he's coming so fast, it creates like a wave thing, which slams the door on Dad and locks her in her old bedroom with the alligator. She is like, oh, fuck this. Gets to her bathroom, tries to like shut the door on the alligator, but it's too big. So she gets in the shower, and in kind of an ingenious move, the alligator is like banging on the shower door. So she opens it, alligator goes in, she jumps over the top, and then closes the alligator in the shower. I give her points for that one. That was a good way to go. She then gets out. Dad is still waving around the signal flare like, follow me, follow me. Gets his arm bitten clean off. That part was fucking nasty because the alligator has his arm. He's like not letting he's got a hold of the staircase banister, so the alligator can't pull him underwater. And really, he's just got the arm, so the alligator just turns and snaps the arm clean off at the elbow. That was fucking gnarly. Special effects wise, that looked like, oh God, wow, woo, ugly. From there, they get separated. Well, actually, a helicopter shows up about this time. They get the attic staircase down, and Dad goes up. He's got an arm off now, but he's got the dog with him. She's like, go up there, get to the roof. I'm going to try to signal this helicopter through my half-submerged bedroom window. That doesn't make any sense because, like, the water line is only leaving her like 12 inches of daylight between the roof and the water line. So there's no way the helicopter could have seen the flare through 12 inches, I don't think, from, I don't know, a couple thousand feet up. But anyway, that's what she's going through. She's trying to do. Waving it, and then another alligator comes swimming through and crashes right through her bedroom window. That would have been another great 3D scene. And now she's got to fight this fucking thing off. Actually manages to do like a juke move on it and gets outside and up to where the roof is. But that one follows her, grabs onto the storm drain that she's holding onto. But then like a weird, some kind of a piece of machinery or something comes floating past and it knocks that alligator off. And she's holding onto the storm drain by like just her fingertips. And then her dad pulls her up with his one arm he's got left. And then they get saved by the helicopter. And that's pretty much the end of your movie. Why do I levitate 6 feet off the ground every time this podcast comes on? Because we are possessing you, Jim. Next week, your head's going to spin around. And your week after that, you get the pea soup treatment. Monica, what did you think of Crawl, baby doll?
Oh, I love this movie.
It's pretty intense, dude.
Oh my God. Even the music,
Yeah.
like when the alligators are there yet. Oh,
It's a very dark movie, like with the lighting and the storm going on. There's very little lighting in this movie at all. So make sure, if you're going to watch this, make sure you do it at night. Can't be any kind of a glare in the room or on the screen. Otherwise, you're going to miss a lot of it.
And water terrifies me already.
Yeah.
Like swimming pool, but like the river, the ocean, a lake.
Would you rather swim in the ocean or in a swamp? There's scary shit in both places.
I am not swimming in either one.
I would reluctantly take the ocean because I feel like in a swamp, I will get myself tangled up in some kind of plant life and drown without the aid of an alligator to bite me in half or anything. I mean, I'll still be dead either way, but drowning is much more frightening when you're tangled up in fucking plants.
And swamp, you got the
bugs,
snakes.
Yes,
too.
snakes, bugs,
Oh, yeah.
all kinds of
thank you.
disgusting things. Plus, there's probably 4 other dead bodies down there waiting for you. I'll swim in the ocean. No swamp says, Odd Mother's with me. She said, hypodermic needles? What kind of swamp are you going to? Hypodermic needles in the swamp.
Like Louisiana.
South Central Los Angeles swamps, apparently. Holy crap. All right. Easy. Apparently, this is the heroin addict swamp. Oh, what the fuck? She went there with it. All right. Fucking bizarre. All right. Okay, well, whatever you're into, I guess. That was cool. I'd say it's definitely a good show. If you've seen a movie called Burning Bright, it is very similar. The only difference being, I mean, it's both a house with deadly animals in it during a storm in which people can't freely leave. Burning Bright involved a Bengal tiger versus the alligators and Crawl. Other than that, they're very, very similar. Same general concept, trying to get away from this fucking thing stuck in the house. Burning Bright, a little more on the CGI because I think that was made in like 2009, and I mean you can only get a Bengal tiger to do so much acting wise. I guess I don't know.
Well, they did a good job on these alligators.
These alligators were very convincing.
Yeah, especially the water scenes where they're swimming around.
Oh yeah, you don't want any of that shit.
Oh my god.
All right, inmates, that was Crawl from 2019. Put that on your watch list. I think you'll enjoy it, even if you're some kind of a heroin addict that hangs out in swamps. It's worth a watch. We're going to take us a little break. We'll come back with some other stuff, though. All righty. I mean, whatever, man. Whatever you're into, Bayou people. Are you saying that all people that live on the Bayou are drug addicts?
No, I'm not saying that, but I think there's a lot over there.
The thoughts and opinions of Miss Monica do not reflect those of the Padded Room Podcast. We love our Bayou listeners, if we have any. I don't think we do. We just lost our entire swamp demographic, Monica. Whew. Alrighty, well, thank you guys very much for joining us. What are we doing next week, Haunt?
We're gonna do Haunt.
Join us next week for Haunt here in Miss Monica's birthday month.
2019.
Available streaming on Shudder. And if any of you guys don't have access to Shudder, let me know, and I will find a way to get you access. We can do some things with some things, and you can have access as well.
And you guys will not be disappointed.
It's a good show.
Mhm.
It's what do you like better, Haunt or Crawl?
Haunt
I
is
go
my
with
number
Haunt.
2.
Crawl's number 1.
Yeah,
I go Haunt better,
yeah,
but it's just me.
yeah. I have more of a fear of
Haunted attractions.
water than
alligators.
you do. Yeah.
That's why we live in a desert. There is water. Lake Tahoe is about an hour from here, but as far as lakes go, that's probably the least threatening lake, right? There's nothing up there except hot drunk chicks, which I'm okay with. And I'm not afraid of them. They're a little intimidated by me. I don't know why. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. PaddedRoomPodcast.com is where you find everything you need to know about us. All the other shows that we have on the Padded Room Network, merch links, our entire catalog. This is actually episode 400 of the Padded Room Podcast. So if you like this, or if you want to watch this again, you can do that on YouTube. This entire show was streamed live there also. Just go to Padded Room Podcast. You'll find us there. You'll find all of our back shows there, all of our other shows, Who Will Survive, Horror for Dummies, Wicked Wednesdays, other, I said Horror for Dummies, the other Shock Treatment, Resurrection of Zombie 7 podcast, Dark History with Sarah Nowinski, and other shows that I'm sure I'm forgetting at the moment. Thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.